This week, we are joined by a swimming and pool aficionado who also happens to have 7 Olympic medals, as well as a New York Times best-selling book. Arizona Wildcat current swim coach Amanda Beard.
DK, this episode, as always, is brought to you by 500 Level. It's 500level.com for all the best shirts and sports. Amanda Beard, great Arizona Wildcat. There's no swimming merch for her on 500 Level. You can get that at amandabeardofficial.com. But 500 Level has all the other Arizona greats. Aaron Gordon, Rob Gronkowski, Lowry Markkanen from the Utah Jazz. All of these great Wildcat alumni. You can get everything for 20% off with the discount code PODCAST on 500level.com. Let's go.
Hey, I'm Amanda Beard, and you're listening to the One Star Recruits podcast. Bear down.
Yo, aloha. Welcome back to the podcast, Rip. Lovely to see you for another week. Amazing connection to Arizona athletes. I just never thought in my entire life I would maybe want a Lowry Markkanen shirt, but I might be interested now. You got me. That's kind of a cool shirt. No one sees a Utah Jazz Lowry Markkanen shirt if you're living down in Tucson. Pretty cool shirt, Rib. Not bad. First things first, though, here, man. We had Amanda Beard on, amazing swimmer. I said pool aficionado. Everybody, she said something in passing we didn't talk about. I got to come back with you. Everybody pees in the pool, huh? This is a known thing. This was very surprising to me. You kind of looked like you knew about this.
I thought that was a given too. I'm glad she said it. It's good to hear it from an Olympian, from an accomplished swimmer. But I know I have 5 and a 7-year-old. We're dealing with like poop in the pool. Pee to me is just like an afterthought. Like it's there all the time.
In the kids' pools, yeah, I've actually had second thoughts. There was a pool at a resort here. I have my mother in town. She's staying at a nice like Hawaiian resort, and I went down to the pool and I noticed like 7 kids, and immediately I was like, yeah, I don't think so. I guess it's a bigger thing for my generation. We always had fear that you would get the purple pea water or the blue pea water. Remember that? Which I think is not even true.
Like berry blue Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah, like it's a certain color if you pee in it. So we had that. That was maybe an urban legend. Parents would tell us in Arizona, so we didn't pee in the pool. But it's a very faux pas thing for me. Now, no problem peeing in the ocean for me. I definitely, you got to go pee. That's the thing. Do you have concerns about just having pee in my swim trunks though? If just for hanging out on the beach afterwards, you got to really make sure you probably get all that off. Anyway, news to me from an expert. So I'll take it and I'll show. I think I'm going to be okay peeing in the pool. I mean, as a full-grown bald adult that you are, your kids are peeing in the pool. You're just peeing in the pool too, right? You just admitted to that and said you're cool with it. So you're doing it.
I actually haven't in a long time. Like I have no problem peeing in the shower, but the pool, like as you get older, you start to think about others more and not just yourself, DK. I don't know if you got into that stage yet, but I don't want people swimming through my pee if I don't have to. Like I'll jump out of the pool and pee on a tree or just hop in the bathroom real quick. Because I have respect for others and I want people to not swim in my pee.
Arizona swimming fans and Olympic fans, don't leave this conversation here. We are starting immediately full on pee. We just learned this man pees in the shower completely unexpectedly. Also, kind of a pretty gross thing. Do you brush your teeth in the shower?
I don't, man. I got the electric toothbrush. I think it's waterproof, but I just don't want to go. I feel like it's gonna break or drop or something. So I
Yeah,
just
well, you
always do it
can't do
over the
the
sink.
two. You can't pee and brush your teeth because then you're gonna get pee specimen on your brush, and then it's all downhill from there. So you keep peeing in the pool and the shower, Rip.
This
Dude,
woman is a New York Times best-selling author, an amazing mother, wife, a swim coach at the University of Arizona, and we're talking about peeing in the pool, DK. Give me something else you took away from this
one
conversation with
stars.
Amanda Beard.
We're 1 stars, man. This is what we talk about. But I did have so many good takeaways. The coolest thing for me was like Arizona's a hotbed for swimming. These programs are bringing in these coaches. It's kind of like that, like pro sports, like the NFL's doing a little bit. They're bringing in these coaches now to coach these systems. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you're like the Detroit Lions. You get a great ex-player who really connects on a different level instead of getting like Matt Eberflus. Sometimes it backfires. You get an Antonio Pierce or a Jeff Saturday. I think it's working out not only in Tucson with the Wildcats, but they got Mike Phelps up at Arizona State. We have like this Arizona swimming mecca. It's like the Rucker Park of swimming. We took that crown from Florida. Give it to us. So I'm proud of that. I love to see that. Arizona on the map for swimming.
It makes sense, man. It's all you can swim 365 days a year outside in Arizona. Like there's
Yeah.
no limits to that sunshine and the amazing pools out there.
Hell yeah. I mean, let me just, now that you mentioned it, here you go. I'm going to give it to you. I'll give you my Arizona swimming pool memories completely off the top of my head. McClintock High School public swimming pool. Come on, Rip. The best.
Yeah, oh, I remember that for sure. You drive down, you see it from McClintock Drive, right? You're driving past
Right on
it,
the
you see
right
it
to the
out there.
right. Yep. And they had all three levels of the diving boards you can always use. They had kids pools, they had a water slide, and so much chlorine you could only probably go under that water and open your eyes once before the chlorine would completely take your life. But McClintock pool, the best. It was like $2. Kiwanis Wave pool, that was my neighborhood pool. Big Surf, the Salt River, always. Bartlett Lake, Lake Havasu, Lake Mary. Every third house in my neighborhood growing up had a swimming pool. So memories are right there. I mean, now that I've said my list, though, it goes right back to that McClintock pool. It's probably my all-time favorite. There you go. There you go. Arizona love.
But yeah, these are all a little north of Tucson, the Phoenix area where we grew up. I want to shout out Clark Park in Tempe, the high dive I was always scared to get on. I never got on in my life. I think that's where my fear of heights came from. And then Roosevelt Pool in Phoenix, where I had swimming lessons
Great
and
one.
with the like
Get.
the 16-ounce cockroaches every morning in the late 1980s.
I was gonna say that's one of the ghettoest ones, but it's a great one to learn how to swim. Rip, look at that. We just hit all everybody. We even got up to Flagstaff. I think I said Lake Mary in there. So I am bowing on the podcast. Tucson, the Wildcats. We talked just life with Amanda. Great person, great swim coach. Great to have her in Tucson. Enjoy this interview with Amanda Beard.
Now joining the One Star Recruits podcast, we have a wife, a mother, a native of Orange County, California, a 7-time Olympic medalist for Team USA, a New York Times bestselling author, and a woman who has now come full circle as an assistant coach for the University of Arizona swim and dive team, a Wildcat for life, Amanda Beard. Thanks for hopping on with the One Stars, Amanda.
Oh, no, thank you guys so much for having me. This is awesome.
We're so glad to have you. And a really cool thing in your life this year, and a big part of this interview really is that you're back in Tucson helping student athletes under Coach Bush down there. It's one of those things where you've walked in their shoes as a swimmer for the Wildcats. What has life been like the past 6 months being back on campus? And also, how did kind of the past decade that saw you opening and coaching at your own swim school up in Washington kind of lead you up to this point?
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. So the last 6 months have been amazing. I've loved every second of it. And it's been cool because Coach Bush, Augie Bush, took me kind of under his wing, knowing that I was going to be a project because it's really kind of I've coached and I've been around swimming my whole entire life, but this is my first like official kind of like coaching position here. And I want to do amazing for all the athletes. So it's been great to be just so well received and to be able to be under the wings of like Augie's dad was my coach, so like it's almost like I'm back in the family and where I'm supposed to be. So really, truly been so grateful for the last couple months and the learning journey that I've been on. The last decade has been a whirlwind. We were up in Washington State, so love, beautiful, but only visit in July and August because it's a rough place to be weather-wise, especially if I'm from Southern California, then moved to Tucson, Arizona. So I like sun. But it was cool to kind of really have a little bit of separation from being a competitive athlete and from that world for a little bit and kind of turn on like my business side and get a facility and business running up in Washington State with my swim facility up there. And I think it really gave me great perspective to be able to work with the athletes that I'm working with now. So I don't know, my life, I'm so happy. Like I'm in a place where I'm supposed to be and I'm so grateful for it.
We love it. We're so happy. Rip and I are both from Arizona. We're from the town that people in Tucson don't like a lot. We're from Tempe,
I was
but
like a little bit that way.
a little bit north from you. But my mom has lived in the Tucson mountains near Gates Pass for years, and the
Oh, I
community.
used to live out there.
You
That's
know it out. See, you know
yes.
it out there. All the
I
artists, the
lived there
desert
for like
lovers.
10 years. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Some of the best sunset listeners, if you're ever out there, just that part
Oh
of
my
Tucson.
gosh.
It's a great. I love visiting. It is so damn beautiful. The weather is perfect. A little bit cooler than Phoenix for all the
Yep.
listeners who have never been. Wonderful Mexican food. I know you've traveled all around the world in some amazing places. What makes Tucson such an appealing place to raise a family and to live?
Well, okay, so you know when you go somewhere and it feels just so right and so comfortable, like it just feels like you're home. And when I took my recruiting trip out here, that's what made me choose U of A and being in Tucson is I came here and I was just like, this feels so right. And I can't always like find the right words to describe it, but I was like, this is home. And that's what it feels like to be back here. You know, we moved away for almost 10 years. And when we came back, it was just like, yes, this is where we're supposed to be. And I really see, I have two children and I see them both really thriving being here in this environment and this world, and especially being so close to the university. And they get very spoiled with going to all the university like sporting events. And so it's really kind of opened their eyes to like being able to branch out and to relocate and to find out what they love too. And man, yeah, Tucson food and
It's a great place.
food here.
It's the food. It still has a great kind of funk to it, if you will.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of a weird word, but it still has a real good soul to it. I love. There's a vegetarian restaurant. I'm going to shout it out. Free ads. I don't know if you've been to Marico. Have you been?
I've been. I have been. Yep.
Oh, just so lovely for vegetarian food. But they're doing it right there in Tucson. Sonoran hot dogs. People love all the good stuff.
Yep.
But it's good for families. It's good for kids. You mentioned your two kids. To switch it a little bit, and the student athletes, I suppose you've been in the limelight since you were a teenager, since you were 14. Kind of as a reflective point with life is now. You went through a lot of publicity in your teenage years with body image and living that life under a microscope. With sports like swimming and tennis, where teenagers get in so early, do you think there's been any positive change over the last 20 years, or have we gotten worse?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. So I think like with social media, there's a lot of extra pressure on athletes and just teenagers in general. But I feel like there's been a big push into like the body positive like movement for an athlete who's a swimmer and works with swimmers and you're in swimsuits. So I think that's been huge for people to really be proud of their body and their shapes, and to more look at it as health versus how I physically look. So I think we're kind of heading in the right direction, but I think there are certain social media aspects that has puts an unrealistic twist on certain situations. So I love that I didn't have to deal with social media during a huge chunk of my career, but it kind of sucks because now I don't know how to navigate it for my own children. You know, I'm kind of exploring it with them and through these athletes here. So to me, it's like it's a wonderful social media is wonderful, and then also like so awful. So it's a
Totally.
mixture.
Totally. And that's the thing with this growth. Yeah, thanks. It's kind of one of those questions where it's obvious it has gotten worse, but I think you're totally right. That focus on health really has progressed the way that we think about it a little bit more. How I've actually think about my fitness. Actually, let's do a couple of random swimming questions here with Amanda, because I have you here.
Uh-oh.
So
Okay.
I need some help. Maybe some one stars probably need some help too. So
Okay.
we'll start with Rip. Rip just took his kids actually to it's so cool what he did. He went up to Chico Hot Springs in Montana for a new swimming experience with his kids. They're from Southern California, so the hot springs was a new experience. What's your favorite non-traditional swimming experience that you've had?
Well, okay. I love we're scuba certified in our family. So we do a lot of like scuba diving and stuff like that. And I like free diving. So give me an opportunity to jump in the water with any sort of creatures and I'm down for it. But I think we went to, I was in Wakatobi for about 11 days, which is about 2 hours off the coast of Indonesia, off of Bali. And I was actually pregnant with my son, so I wasn't doing a lot of scuba diving, but they would drop me off like in the middle of the ocean while everybody else dropped to scuba dive, and then the boat would take off, and I would try to follow bubbles and stuff like that. But it was the coolest experience because I was literally out in the middle of the ocean by myself, just flip flopping around, swimming with all the like cool sea snakes and all those different creatures that they have. So that might be kind of, I don't know. I like the ocean. So a lot of pool swimmers don't like the ocean.
Nice. Oh, that's good to know. I have an ocean question. I live in Hawaii. I like to swim and snorkel in the ocean. I love it. Way better than a pool for me. So where I'm at is a 40-year-old healthy man who wants to, what I'm looking for, I think, is a full body swim workout in the ocean. What really happens is I think I'm going to go do a good swim, and then I just do the freestyle.
Oh, well, that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but I want the full body. So I want the Amanda Beard recommendation for maybe a full body, let's say 35 to 40 minutes. I think I can probably do it. Give me a good rotation of strokes.
Okay, so I would definitely start with freestyle just because it's a great way to warm up. And so, but then I'd get into like some like, get vertical a couple of times and just do some good treading, some egg beater, things like that, because that will really get your legs warmed up nicely.
Yeah.
I would do, so freestyle and backstroke are pretty similar like movements and will work a lot of the same muscle groups. So then I would definitely like do about half of it freestyle backstroke, and then I'd switch up and do half of it. And you're probably not going to go jump out there and do butterfly, but you can do some one-armed butterfly, which will kind of get you into a different movement, different body movements with your legs. But I've definitely hit up some breaststroke, even if it's just like head up breaststroke or anything like that, just because breaststroke is like all about, it's like you're all under the water. So it's huge for resistance, and you'll get very strong if you're doing like breaststroke through the water. But definitely get vertical, swim for like X amount of like distance if you have like points that you're going from, and then get vertical and do like as much as you can. But yeah, just in the water, if you're in the water, you're getting a great workout.
Yeah, you're winning. And I like the vertical. That would be good for my booty too, because I worry sometimes my booty and my legs aren't getting the full thing, and I'm doing all shoulders and arms. So I like that. The egg beater vertical.
Yeah. So, and then switch up your kicks that you're doing when you're vertical. So do like your flutter kick, do some fly kick, breaststroke, egg beater, all that kind of stuff. Because then you're hitting all those muscle groups from the body half down.
I got notes. I'm gonna have to YouTube the breaststroke. So I'm not 100%, but I think I have. The vision is there now. That's good. That's good. Okay. Pool games. This is my last one, because growing up in Arizona, my top 3 pool games are as follows. Pool basketball. I just love it. I don't know why I love it, but I love it more than anything. Even at this age, I lose my mind when I see a pool basketball hoop. The sinking pool rings, where you throw them and hold your breath and collect them under your arm. Phenomenal pool game. All-time favorite growing up in the 80s, though. I don't know if these are still around, but the blue pool floats, and trying to stand up on them and kind of be king of the mountain as long as you can. That took hours of my childhood, and I still see those in like an occasional 1970s pool, and I love them. Go ahead. Top 3 all-time pool games.
Okay, top 3, I don't know about that, but like, so I'll tell you my top pool game. So it's like an evolution of Marco Polo, because we'll play Marco Polo, but I feel like it gets way too easy. So then we do silent Marco Polo. So like you have to just go off of like hearing.
Wow.
So like there's no communication, there's no Marco Polo. So you literally are like just sitting there with your eyes closed, trying to hear where the people are. And so I play that one with my kids all the time, and it's so fun because it gets pretty intense, because then you're like trying to like not breathe, like when you come up, and not go things like that. Another one that's fun is like when you jump off the side of the pool and you have to like yell like a certain thing, like cannonball or dive or pencil or something like that, and then you have to make the adjustment right before you get in. So that's always a fun one. And then like just like silly ones like a t-shirt relay or like a swim cap relay, where you have to put like a t-shirt on, swim across the pool, and then like there's certain tricks, which I won't give you all the hints so that you won't like no, but there's certain tricks to get your t-shirt off and the t-shirt on someone else a lot faster.
Wow.
So just switching t-shirts or clothes or stuff like that and try to swim back and forth.
Amazing pool games. That's why we asked. Those are completely new to me. I love the Marco Polo one. That one is like yeah, like I can't hear Marco Polo. I'd be worried about the holding the breath. That was the one thing with the ring collection sometimes, a little bit too much holding the breath. But
you don't have to be under, like, you can just kind of like you just have to be really quiet. Like you could stand there super still and the person could like go right by you. It's just all about like quiet and then it's fun. Can get creepy because we'll play it at night sometimes too, so it gets a little spooky.
Great Rex. Pools are the best. Arizona pools in particular are the best. Thank you.
Don't give this guy any ideas. We had a Thanksgiving fitness challenge last year, and he tried to swim underwater from one side of the pool to the other, and he came up like halfway for air. So it almost went viral. It was so bad.
Oh no.
We end every interview with the segment we call 1 star to 5 star. Everybody knows we're the 1-star recruits. We're trying to get better with advice and tips though from every guest we have on this podcast, like yourself. So I have a few more for you. Let's use a 1 to 5 star scale for the answers. 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest.
Okay.
So you started serious training with swimming at, I believe, age 11. And nowadays, with the way youth sports kind of work, that'd probably be considered really late, like age 11. So my boys, I have a 5 and a 7-year-old. They play baseball. I think your son might play baseball as well.
Mm-hmm.
I see 7 and 8-year-olds on travel teams playing year round at age 7. And I really think what happened is the competition and drive has kind of pushed kids to start earlier and narrow down to one sport a lot of times really early. And to me, it's even, there's such a noticeable difference from even when we were all growing up. So the question is, what's your 5-star advice as a parent raising children who are involved in sports to kind of just maintain your sanity and try to keep things normal in a world of youth sports where they're anything but normal sometimes?
Yeah, I mean that's really hard too. And you feel like you're behind the times if you don't get your kids into something and like commit them year round and you're kind of jumping like all in. For me with my kids, I've tried to really just kind of like my son's going through a little bit of a transition with baseball right now because he's played baseball forever and he's like, I want to try something new. He wants to try tennis. I'm like, get it. But so I think it's really important for you to expose your kids to a lot of different sports. And it's hard to find that balance. If your kid's going to be successful at a sport, they're going to be successful at a sport, whether they start at 11 or 12 or if they start at 7. It's just how it happens. I know a lot of Olympic swimmers who didn't start swimming until they were in high school and they were phenomenal. They were like refreshed and they were like very successful athletes. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but their mental health and sanity through that process is going to be a really key factor as whether or not they actually stick in that sport. And the last thing that you want is your kid to be fully committed to only one sport by the time they go to high school and they don't know anything else. You want them to kind of have that exposure to other sports. It's also really good for their body movements, just for the health of like really their joints and their muscles and just everything, so that they'll have less injuries as they continue in their sport. So if let's say your kids play baseball and that's like their love, I would still do something on a recreational level just to kind of have a little bit of that balance, even if it's not like, hey, we're travel basketball and we're travel baseball and that's all we're doing. Like just if they're doing like a winter rec team for basketball, it does really help kind of take some of that pressure off.
Such great advice. I love that answer from someone who's lived through it as an athlete and also now as a parent. So thank you for that. Something that threw me for a loop when I read it about your background. There's a story out there that your role model growing up was Dennis Rodman. To me, it seems like the only thing you two have in common is Newport Beach. Maybe you were born there, and he's kind of a partying legend down there. So on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, how true is that? That he was your role model growing up, and do you have a Dennis Rodman story for us?
Okay, so yes, he was. I don't know. He was someone that I enjoyed watching play, I guess was the best way to put it. My dad was a basketball player, so I watch every sport. But we watched a lot of basketball growing up, and he was just kind of a unique basketball player, and he was great. Like of course, as I've gotten older, I've learned a lot more about him as, like who he was. But as a 14-year-old, I think it was really appealing to see someone. I was in a sport that was very strict. Like, I go to the pool 10 times a week, I stare at a black line. Like, and this was someone that was very exciting in their sport and unique and like, but still dominating. And I felt like that was really cool. And I, at that age, being a teenager, wanted to have a little bit more of a rebellious side, but I didn't have the time for it. So I guess like my role model was my rebellious side. We actually went over to, we hung out with him. My parents were like, "You're not going alone. Like, we're going with you." And we actually, there was like a whole group of us. So it's my whole family, my manager, his manager, and everybody. So we went over to his house, and then we all went to breakfast. And I ended up hanging out more with like his manager and stuff like that after that, going to like Angels games and stuff. But I don't have any crazy stories. I was 14, 15 years old, but it was really cool. And he was very gracious, and I was very appreciative for him to take time. I mean, I'm sure they get requests like that all the time, and he actually honored a request like that. So for me, that shows that's cool. Like, you don't see that very often.
Oh, you don't. And great athlete, great nickname, the Worm. We both
Yeah.
loved watching him play growing
Yeah.
up. And a winner. I mean, he was a winner at basketball. So
Yeah.
I got two more for you. Everyone
Okay.
is well aware of your accolades, the 7 Olympic medals, International Swimming Hall of Fame. But right now you're on a podcast called One Star Recruits. So we want to hear about the lowlights too. What's
Oh my gosh.
let's say what we always ask people this. What's a 1-star moment from your swimming career that kind of stands out to you? Maybe that moment that was so memorable that you'd like to forget it, like anything from a bad race to peeing in the pool at an Olympic race. The 1-star moment from Amanda Beard's career.
Okay, well, every swimmer pees in the pool, so that, and if they say they don't, they lie. And gosh, I have a lot of bad swims, so I don't even know if we can get into like all of those. That's just being an athlete. Oh gosh, 1 star. But I mean, I guess like I was like disqualified in one of my best events at like one of the biggest meet before our Olympic trials. So that kind of sucked. I was actually disqualified at another meet in one of my best events, and then so we have these swim meets, and you have to place to qualify for these bigger international swim meets. And so sometimes at one swim meet, they'll have like 3 teams that you're trying to qualify for. And I went to this meet, I swam my best race, I got disqualified in it in front of all the college coaches that were there recruiting because I was still in high school. And I missed making like the top tier international team and was put on like the lower tier international team because they defaulted to like a race I didn't get disqualified in. That was one of those moments where like I went up to that meet and had a conversation with Frank Bush, which was my coach at University of Arizona before I came here. And I was like embarrassed. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know how he would react either. Just like a athlete that he's trying to recruit got booted off of one of the bigger international teams that got disqualified in their event. So it was like one of those moments where I was like, they still want me.
Well, and that's one of those, like you mentioned before, mental health where it comes into play is having to bounce back from setbacks like that. Is you guys are all amazing when I think about stuff like that. And really, last one here, swimming is such a unique sport because most of the general public only learns the names and stories of the swimming greats for a couple weeks every 4 years, really. And if you're not completely keyed in on swimming, you just don't know who the athletes are until the Olympics. So we're about 6 months away from the U.S. Olympic trials in Indianapolis. While we have you on, give us a name or two could be U of A Wildcats or from somewhere else that will be ones to keep an eye on at the trials. And we may even hear our guy Rowdy Gaines calling their name out in Paris next summer.
Oh, we probably will hear Rowdy for sure. Someone's story that I like to follow is Caleb Dressel's, just because he's just come back into the sport of swimming, took a little bit of a break, and he's a great positive role model for a lot of young athletes. You have Katie Ledecky, who's awesome, Lydia Jacoby, who's a breaststroker that's just kind of stormed onto the scene at the last Olympics, and I think she's going to be a powerhouse. So I would say some of those names for sure. The thing that I love about the Olympics is there's always a couple of just young athletes that you never knew that was going to like be there. and it's cool to really see their dreams come true and like follow their stories. And then just I enjoy following them after the Olympics as well and see how they continue to do and thrive. So I love the little surprises that we get. I think that's always a fun one.
That's always fun, and we'd love to see some of you go back into coaching like yourself. We got Michael Phelps up with the Sun Devils, and it's just cool to see you guys give back and go that route where you once walked in those shoes. So
I have a question real fast. Can we go watch swimming and diving as a spectator in Tucson at the Hillebrand? Can we?
Yeah, and it's free.
It's free? That's one of my questions.
It's free.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually, yes, absolutely. And I'll be there. So yeah, and our schedule's online. You can go to the University of Arizona's Swimming and Dive website and see we are on our holiday break and kind of Christmas training. So our athletes are getting worked out really hard right now. But we'll start our dual meets back up in January. And so yeah, absolutely come out. It's great. These athletes work hard. So it's cool to give them some love too.
Amazing.
We'll shout out the Wildcats will be at the UNLV Invitational next week in Las Vegas. Amanda, everyone can find out everything else about you at amandabeardofficial.com. It makes so much sense for you to be back in Tucson. We talked about it before, sharing your knowledge and love for swimming with those athletes. It's such a cool thing to see. We wish you the best of luck the rest of this season, Amanda and beyond. Thank you so much for coming on with the One Star Recruits.
No problem. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
All right, DK, special thanks again to Amanda Beard and also the University of Arizona Media Relations Department, Brett and Addie down there. Many thanks for setting up that interview. DK, the thing I took away from that interview was when she said that your child, if they're going to be good at any sport, it doesn't matter what age they start. That was crazy to me because I kind of mentioned to her, you see like all these kids starting so young, year-round ball, whatever. But then you hear those stories of like, I don't know, Taco Fall, or former One Star, someone else who didn't start playing basketball until they were 16. Like, do you subscribe to that theory that no matter what age they start, they're going to be good if they're going to be good?
I never really thought about it. It's funny you said that because I thought the same shit. I never really thought about it, but as soon as she said it, it made sense in my body and soul. Like, even I didn't pick out my thing, but it was probably about 12 or 13 when I realized for me, I was going to choose skateboarding and marching band.
And tennis.
But I didn't really, I was JV doubles tennis, so that was pretty lower level for me. Skateboarding was number one. And then somehow the marching band got me, which automatically puts you in the nerd realm a little bit and moves you into a whole nother level of what you like to do. But I love to do that throughout high school. So it kind of locked in without too much fight in my house, if that makes sense. I think maybe the age is less definable. I think 11 or 12 could be 10 to 15 or something. I think when you start seeing less fight and more positivity just in that direction flowing towards that event, towards that sport versus do I have to go? I mean, it's probably pretty clear. And if they're super talented, right about time you hit the pubes, man, you start kind of, if your kid's good or not. And as a parent, it's either time to roll with it or time to get them into referee school or place kicking school.
Yeah, because the opposite is true as well. It's not only for the good athletes. We got to always stick up for the one stars like us. If you're going to be bad at sports, you're going to be bad at sports no matter what. But there's always room on the bench for one stars, DK, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't play sports if you're not going to be good at them, because there's so many other things that sports add to people's lives. So those are some of my favorite moments of these interviews is kind of getting that parenting advice and perspective from someone who's been through it and living through it and stuff. I can apply it to my daily life. So props to her.
Think about it a little bit differently. Yeah, maybe take some pressure off you too. Just figure it out at 5, 6, 7, 8, and just kind of test the waters. Look at you rip. Soaking up information. How many friends do you think you have? Real friends?
Yeah, there's definitely levels to that, right? Like real friends, it's definitely less than 10, I'd say. But yeah, there's the B list and the C list. And
yeah, we'll keep thinking about it. I'll continue those. We'll call this a 20 friends question because it's been on social media. It's been making the rounds. There was a woman who invited for her boyfriend's 30th birthday party 30 of his friends, and 0 could attend or RSVP that they could attend. 0 out of 30. So first, tons of red flags for this, for me, first and foremost. 30 friends? That's crazy. That's complete bullshit. Even 20 friends, that's a little bit crazy for me. You said 10, Rip, which is semi impressive. I think the truth for most guys, I can speak for myself because I only know without school or work friends. Let's take those two. And we can even put maybe kids, parents, friends in that bucket a little bit. It's 2 to 3 for me. And I think I've been a 2 to 3 since I left college. And that's the real hardcore truth of it for like a birthday party of true friends, 2 to 3. So this was a little bit out of line for her even going for 30, as far as like good friends. And then are they even on the associate list? Do they even make the B level or the C level cut if they're not gonna you get zero to attend? Are you reevaluating your life at that point?
Yeah, 30 kind of almost feels like you don't really have any, but you're kind of throwing it out to everyone on that B list and seeing who might actually say yes. 'Cause, yeah, 30 is a crazy number. No one has time to keep up 30 really good friendships. No one has time for that. It's too many.
It's crazy to meet friends, dude. It's nowadays it's become so much harder with the separation, and you kind of the world has to definitely align so much more than going to. It's the cell phones, bro. For me, it's because people's heads are in the phones, not asking questions. I got my mom here in town this week. It's been great. I'm noticing she's really curious with humans. She will sit down. She'll be the first one to action into a question of other people. I'm like, that's weird. People don't really do that anymore, Ma. But every time she does that, we're getting quality information. And I'm like, okay, that's gonna helpful. I'm gonna go for 4 to 5 friends, and then I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna close it. Close my hand. I think that's what I'm gonna go for.
That's a good number, I think. I think that's a really good number. And there's even some other interesting ones where like we have group texts with people like I've never even met, like and people in Arizona, people in the Bay Area. I text these people like multiple times a week. I've never even met these people. So
That's how weird of a world we live in. Would they come to a birthday party that your wife put for you? Would you, some fantasy football friends, listeners, come to a birthday party? In fact, I'm thinking back, I have witnessed, it's been some of the greatest days of my life. One in particular, there was a wedding where fantasy football friends who have never met in person were invited to the wedding. And there was like it was crazy to meet them in person, especially like 10 years of only knowing them as like Brown Frown. You know what I mean?
Brown Frown, 1-star fantasy football name. I actually have a point of reference for the 30th birthday thing, DK, because you remember this. You were on it that 2-day cruise to Ensenada. And I think I had about 12 people there on that 12 friends. So when I was 30, that number's definitely gone down. Like I probably don't talk to 80% of those people anymore. But that's for when you're 30 and single, that number's probably much higher than when you get married and live in the suburbs.
And that's pretty good. I was on that Ensenadas cruise to Papas and Beers too on that particular one. I will say there were some couples in that mix, so we can divide that one by two, Rip. Don't get greedy on the listeners over here, bro. There's some
So
couples in
plus
there.
one, so the plus ones don't count.
I don't know. Ask Kadarius Tony. He probably needs some new friends in Kansas City.
Oh,
Pat
oh,
Mahomes was
oh.
pissed off at that man, Rip. He was so offsides. He was so offsides. Like it's so stupid that this is even a whole thing here. Can Kadarius Tony even go to can he go to his local Starbucks in Kansas City? He makes $3 million a year. Can you line up on sides?
It kind of it's funny you mentioned that Mahomes was pissed off at him because he was actually it was one of those things where he was directing his anger at the wrong person. He was directing his anger at the referees when he
Wrong
should have been pissed off
person.
at Kadarius.
Dude, it reminds me of when I'm mad at my wife about something else, but I'm doing the dishes and something with the dishes, so I yell at her about the dishes. No, no, no. Be mad at Kadarius Tony. That was so ridiculous. More ridiculous that the refs don't call that, I guess. I think if you would look at can look at a lot of Miami Dolphins stuff, lots of movement, lots of lineup shifts, lots of stuff. The fact that they called it and that was the play, yucky, yucky. But what a baby. What a baby. Kansas City Chiefs not making a home field playoff lock like normal. He's gonna have to win some games on the road, Rip, with zero help. Guy Rice is such a joke. Kadarius Tony obviously struggling. Kelsey is just older, So can Patrick Mahomes do another miracle now by himself without Tyreek, without a great Kelsey?
He can, and I mean, honestly, it's going to start this weekend. The biggest thing they got going for them is they play at New England, which is one of the worst teams in the NFL, and really almost like trying to lose at this point. So they got at New England, they got home against the Raiders, and home against Cincinnati. I mean, they're going to win those three almost surely. So nobody will be talking about this in a few weeks, man. But
Yeah, we should let it go actually right now. It's not nice. I'm glad he took it back and he feels bad about that. That was very yuck for Mahomes to even act like that. He was hugging Allen and he said, this is a bad call and you got to get mad at your own guy. That's kind of a sign of what's maybe happening in that locker room. They need to talk to each other. They need counseling.
hey, Kadarius has been known to cause some problems where he's been. So let's
It's
see what happens
true.
with that.
Mediocre rapper, Kadarius Tony. One star moment of the week. We do every week. We do one star moments because we're one stars. Not everybody talks about them. We talk about them. Lead off, Rip.
Yeah, I got one. It was just kind of a little moment in time. It just happened to happen on the same day. I got a letter from the IRS a couple weeks ago, and it's like something you never want to see. And it was very cryptic. It actually said like, we're looking into your account, and it didn't really say much else. So it said, call this number if you have any questions. I thought it was a scam, but I Googled it and I called the number, and it actually wasn't. But I thought like my mind just went to, I'm getting audited, I'm getting blown up, like it's gonna mess me up for the past 4 years. I'm gonna resubmit everything, all that stuff. So your mind just goes crazy. And anyway, it turned out to be something with my former employer had sent in, and it turned out to be pretty much nothing, which was great. But on that same day, I had to transfer a title to a lease that I bought out. So I ended up on the phone with the DMV for about an hour, and then they directed me to fill out all this paperwork. So basically, my one star moment of the week was spending about 3 hours between the IRS and the DMV on the exact same day, as fate would have it. It's all done now. It's all over with. But that one day was a one star moment. That's probably the two government agencies you don't want to deal with the most, and I had to do it in the same day. So one star moment for me.
Totally sucks. Congratulations on buying out your lease. What'd you buy out? Your minivan?
No, the is a Kia Forte, and it's funny. I bought it like 2 weeks before March 2020 when COVID hit. And I had to commute 5 days a week, and the car basically ended up sitting there for 3 years. I mean, I drove it, but I didn't drive it nearly the miles I was expecting to drive it. So it's super low mileage, man. And we all know what's happened to used cars over the past 3 years. That value has gone up big time.
That Kia Forte, Rip. That is the trashiest car, worst car ever, but you're low mileage, bro. Kia Forte, Kia Sunfire, the Kias. Is it the Kia with the new Kia logo? Is the question. Those are nicer.
No, it's a 2020, man. I don't think I got that new logo yet, but I see those rolling around, and sometimes they look like BMWs or something. What
You're
do you
such a
got? What's your
cheap
one
ass.
star moment of the week?
I'm gonna give it to my pops this week. He's the holder of the crown for the one star moment in our family. We had a death in the family, kind of sad. One of his cousins uh, passed away, and well, anyway, my dad sent a picture to my sister and I, who was traveling at the time, and to I that said, Cousin X passed away today. Her ashes are going to some monastery in New Mexico. And then he did something that haven't seen before. I don't know if this is traditional. Maybe this is done in your family. My pops is a bit of a lunatic. He said, "Here's Cousin X in her death mask," and set a picture of what looks just like a dead body.
Oh man.
So that's just hits you just a little differently when that happens. I don't know if that's traditional. Like I said, Rip, you can let me know at the end if you've been ever hit with a death mask. It was a new name for me. In fact, I
Yeah.
haven't even
Oh.
looked it up. I think it might be something Egyptian or something. My pops would be into that. It's not the end of the story though. It's not why it's the one star story. So probably sending the death mask in general without consent or giving a do you want to see it maybe or whatever. I don't know. Very strange move by Pop. So I'm gonna give him the 1 stars for that one. Here's where it gets worse. Night goes by. Have a conversation with my family, with my mom's. She's in town. We're having a great time. My sister about the cousin X passed away, like you would one who would pass away. So yeah, I'll talk. Rest in peace. Memory. Whatever. Whatever. Wake up the next morning. I live in Hawaii, so sometimes I'll wake up to a handful of text messages because it's a little earlier here. We got a retraction of the year. Rip, retraction of the year. Cousin X not dead.
No way.
Big not dead. 1 star move, which is also very unheard of. If this man was a PR professional, he would be fired.
You had to
Okay.
walk it back.
He had to walk it back on the next day. And he sent the death mask picture. How much more conclusive does one get? Turns out,
Was it just
not,
Cousin X sleeping? Was it just
we
sleeping?
we think sleeping now. So we think sleeping. We don't know. So retracted.
Oh my.
A little bit of humor found. I don't know. I haven't spoke to him on the phone, and he doesn't do text humor. I can't get a read on his whole thing, but he's doing okay, whatever. We move on. Life moves on for us. For Cousin X, life moved on for 2 more days. They did pass away the day we're recording. So RIP. But one star pops for the whole process of death announcing, death masking, retracting, and yeah, to get this man, he's 81, so he's not running PR for anybody's company anymore. But for Cousin X, it was a weird way to get the obit dropped. You know what I mean?
Man, he's like the do you know the Associated Press has all these obituaries written up, basically the whole obituary, and all they have to do is hit send when the person dies, hit publish, so they're the first out with it. So he sounds like that, where he's just trying to jump the gun and break the story about Cousin X. But man, the death mask picture too is yeah, rest in peace, Cousin X. That's a brutal mistake. One
It
star
is
moment for
a
sure.
yeah, 1 star moment, man. I think it in the Facebook era too, with some folks are a little bit older. This is a moment of breaking news. If you got the lead on the story, he happens to live in the same city, so he had the lead. He's right there.
On a side note, I think Cousin X is a really cool nickname. I'd like for all my cousins to start calling me that going forward, if possible. Cousin X.
This guy stars in one movie where that's his character name, and he's in love with it, man. Here, producer Winston just sent me over the death mask. Quick definition: the death mask is a likeness of a person's face after their death, usually made by taking a cast or impression from the corpse. So they're used like mementos of the final moments. So it was not even used correctly in that moment, but it fucking shook me up a little bit. Just the shock and awe. He did a shock and awe PR hit on me. So back to, have you ever been somebody's is in the final stages of life and a picture is sent to you? That'd be my question.
Never. I mean, the craziest part about funerals to me is the viewing where you see someone dressed up. I thought that was the death mask when they're in the casket. They're all kind of makeup on them. The last way you see them and picture them before they close that thing up. I thought that's what a death mask was, but yeah, an actual mask like that's creepy, man. I don't want any part of it.
Now you know. Maybe you want one. Maybe you want to put that in your thing, Rip. Why not? You have it around you hanging up in your bathroom, your guest bathroom.
I'm putting in my will. No death mask for me, DK. What's
It's
your what's
it's
what's your
noted.
we do recommendations of the week every week on a more positive note. What's your 5 star recommendation this week for all the 1 stars
Yeah,
out there?
more positive. With the holidays right around the corner, for you will probably, this is for you, Rip, and I know it's for at least 150 other listeners out there who send me dog pics on the regular. But we forget about our little pups under the tree for the holidays. When we're doing Hanukkah gifts, you forget about your four-legged friends. So I want to do a couple product recs for my dogs out there that people can get. So I'll give you a second, Rip, to get some notes out.
All right, I got my notepad, I got my notes app open. Let's go.
All right, you ready? We got a couple. I'm gonna give you three. I'm just gonna give you the three main hitters at my house, straight up, period, and take what you will. First is Just for Dogs is the name of the brand. All one word, Just for Dogs. They carry a chicken jerky that is my number one top draft pick. That is my Victor Wembanyama of dog treats. It is even if they're not hungry, even if they're sick, they will eat the Just for Dog chicken jerky treats. You can get them on Amazon. I recommend getting the big bag. Got it?
How many ingredients in the thing?
It's very clean. It's very good. Just for Dogs. Look it up. It's very good. It's by far the best chicken treat, health, and it might be a little bit more expensive, will be the only downfall. Number 2, Duo Dog Shampoo, especially for dogs with allergies. Seasonal allergies are coming up. This is by far, period. I've tried maybe 15 or 16 different shampoos throughout the lifespan of one of my pups, and this one is fairly new. It's only been on the market for a couple years. By far the very, very best. Also on Amazon, it is spelled DOUXO. They do shampoo, conditioners, and some mousses and some other shit. Just straight up the ultimate best dog shampoo. Do yourself a favor. Put that in the stocking. Stuff it for your pups. You get a win. The pup gets a win. Last one. Last but not least. This is second. This is Chet Holmgren. Okay, Rip. This is very close to Just for Dog chicken jerky. Also a chicken breast chew. Big chicken household, I guess, here. Also found on Amazon. The brand is called Pet and Shakes. Middle thing is an N. Pet N, like N, the letter. shakes, okay? Pet and shakes. And this is the ultimate crowd pleaser. This is your all-around player who can do everything. What I also really love about this for the 20-pound pups, ultimate crowd pleaser, the creme de la creme is about a 7 to 15 minute chew time with these. Buy yourself some time. Do some laundry, pee in the pool, do what you will. Pet and shakes, chicken breast chews. Those are the three. So there you go. Adding value with my Rex and my dogs. I'm talking about right now. I'm looking at both of my dogs are staring me right in the eyes because I'm saying all of their favorite shit.
Probably smiling at you. That the 3-in-1 right there. You could have spread those out over 3 weeks, but I appreciate you getting the 3-in-1 there. Value. I'm gonna put all those in the show notes so that our listeners can fill up their dog stockings with those things.
Yeah, got to do it for your dogs. That was lame. I just said dogs with a W. You got any? Do we want to skip you this week? You got any recommendations?
No, it's been a while, but we talk about I'm a value guy. I'm the value guy in this pod. And I just saw one today, man. Something we always talk about. You love, I love is NBA League Pass. It's usually $100 a year, which is a value in itself. There's a flash sale right now, DK, $49.99 for the rest of the NBA season. The season's like a third of the way over, and you can get all the games for the rest of the year for $49.99. I think I'm not no mathematician, but I think that's like 10 cents a game or probably even less, DK. So $49.99, hit it up. That's a great Christmas gift actually for somebody who loves the NBA. NBA League Pass, $49.99. Get on it.
It's pretty good. One would argue a little bit though that if you between TNT, ESPN, and NBA TV, all the big games are covered, and those are free. That would be the argument. Can you steel man that argument?
Yeah, because if you look at the Indiana Pacers who have been playing well, and if you want to see Tyrese Halliburton, you're not getting many of those games on those networks, DK. So if you want to see all those Pacers games, yeah, get it. Speaking directly to all our Indiana listeners right now, get on it. In NBA League Pass, $49.99.
So no relationship with the one stars. It's NBA League Pass. The whole NBA, they just get all this free press from us. We give it all to them. Great podcast, though. Great to be back with guests. Amanda was terrific. Thank you for a wonderful booking. Well, we're going to wrap up the year. We'll be in and out of guests for the rest of the year, but we're going to be hitting 2024 hard. It's a lovely time. It's my favorite time of the week to hang out with One Stars, to hang out with you, Rip. So I appreciate you, brother. Happy Hanukkah. Happy pre-holiday. Let's do a little Rip Reacts and finish the podcast. Hit the music. I have a couple for you.
Let's go.
Investor Group offers to buy Macy's for $5.8 billion. Think back, Fiesta Mall, Little Rip, goes into Macy's. What is your favorite thing to buy at Macy's for yourself?
My memories from that go to like my early teenage years when I was really starting to get into clothes. And I remember right when you walk in the main doors of Macy's and you go to the right, there's like the teenage boys clothing section. So I'm thinking like, what was it? Counterculture, cross color, all those shorts that you need in the summer in Arizona. Probably back then you're looking at like $12.99 for a pair. They're getting they turned that into 5.1 billion. They're doing well.
5.8 billion. And you just showed your age and also your lack of fashionista growing up with all those things that you just said. It was so clear to me. My number one thing was not the $12.99 shorts. I was not doing the cross colors. It was always, for me, the polo and the polo hats with just a little horse. In particular, the white one. I always loved it. And those were always like $38. It was mind-blowing that they were that much.
$38 back then is like $150 now. You had money back
classy.
then.
Well, that would be the one thing that I would get from Macy's. Macy's is still a good experience. They still have a couple of them here in Hawaii, but hey, redo it. Investor Group, go crazy. Wonka killed it at the box office. 43.2 million. Willy Wonka, a new take on the chocolate factory. You going to see it with your family, Rip?
I don't think so. Yeah, I saw something about it, but then I was Googling something the other night. I hate when they do like 3 or 4 remakes of movies. I came up on a Wonka that was made like 10 years ago. Then you got the original. Now you got another one. I can't even keep track of all these Wonkas, man. There's probably something in there that's too much for my kids. It's 2023. They probably got some Mike McDaniel F-bombs going. I don't know, DK. I'm out on that.
You're out. I think that's one the parents are out unless the kids ask for it. I don't think that's a drag them to unless there's a nostalgia thing going on over there. DJ Metcalf was ejected after inciting a brawl in the Seahawks 49ers game. That's not exciting. That's not anything. What's interesting to me is that the head coach, Kyle Shanahan, earlier this week said This guy will lose his shit, guaranteed, at a big portion of the game. Whoever does, I'll buy them a new Christmas gift. Whoever makes him lose his shit. Guess what? Totally lost his shit. Big play of the game. Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniels, these little geniuses. Rip, good move. Knowing that somebody's a hothead and getting them worked up to really lose a game for him, or manipulative?
That's a crazy prediction to me. I mean, he did end up losing his shit, but it wasn't a big part of the game. I think it was 28-16 at that point. The game was over. But, I mean, way to get into somebody's head. I mean, somebody should have played that clip for DK to keep him under control a little bit, because I bet he wouldn't have done it. But I wouldn't want to get into a fight with DK Metcalf. I'd rather fight Shanahan than Metcalf, that's for sure.
I think it was the Niners' big middle linebacker who's really good. His name's eluding
Fred
me right
Warner.
now.
Yeah, Fred Warner.
Big Fred.
Cheap shot at him. It's always a retaliation that he actually started. It's always a retaliation that gets punished. So DK got that second shot in.
Oh, damn, Rip. We got Dean Blandino over here, huh? We got Dean Blandino giving us the facts. Dude, Shohei Ohtani, $680 million. We know the story. The biggest thing, though, now is that it's all deferred. So this man's going to make essentially less than $2 million a year for 10 years of his contract. And then the rest of his life, he will be paid significantly well into his later years, sipping tea and eating sushi in Kyoto. Is this the new way to do money?
I hope not, man, because it's only going to make the rich richer, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, all these teams that have all the money, the big market teams. I mean, the Dodgers could go out and sign Yamamoto and a couple other guys right now and just go crazy, but they're the new evil empire. If this rules, if people are allowed to do this going forward, it's going to mess up baseball even more. The D-backs will never be able to compete.
Wonderful stuff, Rip. We will be back next week. Give us 5 stars. Happy holidays.
500level.com, discount code podcast. See you next week.
Podcast. Later.